Hey guys, welcome to another Damilola Forex Academy video. In this teaching, I'm going to be talking about a very important part of technical analysis that turned my trading around. Before I understood this part of technical analysis, I was drawing my structures wrongly and I was trading completely wrongly. Okay, but understanding this part of technical analysis, I became profitable. I exited my trades at the right places, and I made massive profits by just the little understanding of what I'm going to be talking about in this teaching. So grab your pen, grab your book, and let's go ahead with today's teaching. So what changed my technical trading for life is what is called fractals. Fractals is what turned my technical trading around. Before I understood the concept of fractals, I was trading wrongly. Okay, and with what I'm going to be teaching you today on fractals, you are going to see a completely different change in your trading by the time you go ahead and you apply what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so let's go ahead and write fractals out and go ahead with the explanation of fractals. Okay, what are fractals? It's important to note that fractals are the length of the exhaustion. Okay, we all know that when the candlestick moves, it moves in waves of push and exhaustion. Okay, it moves in waves of push. Okay, let's change this. It moves in waves of push and exhaustion. Push and exhaustion. That is, after every push, there must be a rest phase. Now, when we're talking about fractals, fractals are about the exhaustion. Okay, fractals are not about the push, okay, but fractals are about the exhaustion. Of course, we know that before we see an exhaustion, there must be a push. Okay, but what role does fractal play right here? Okay, fractals now are about the length of the exhaustion. Okay, fractals are about the length of the exhaustion. Okay, so fractals are measured in pips. Okay, so when I'm talking about the length of the exhaustion, I'm talking about pips. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that out. That fractals are the length of the exhaustion. Fractals are the length of the exhaustion. Okay, and fractals, like we said, fractals are measured in pips. Okay, now this means that what? When structures move, okay, when structures move, that is what, when prices makes this push exhaustion, this exhaustion comes in different fractals. Okay, so these exhaustion movements don't come in equal fractals, they come in different fractals. Now these fractals are categorized in big fractals or in small fractals. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that out. That what types of fractals, that fractals are calculated in what? We have the big fractals and we also have the small fractals. Okay, so when these exhaustions appear, they sometimes appear, in big fractals, or they sometimes appear in small fractals. Okay, let's just go ahead and draw them out a bit. For example, you can see this. You can see this. This, for example, is a big fractal, while this is a small fractal. You can see the difference in the length of the exhaustion. Okay, the first one initially here is a big fractal, while these other ones are smaller fractals. Okay, so fractals appear in either big or small sizes. Okay, now there are rules to trading fractals. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that out. That's what the rules to trading fractals. Okay, and this is very important. Okay, so with the rule to trading fractal, it's important that we should note that what? Small to big fractals can be traded together. Let's write that out. Small to big fractals can be traded together. In fact, it should be traded together. So if prices goes from a small to a big fractal, they should be traded together. While what? Big to small fractals must be separated. Okay, so this means that what? A break of a big fractal affects all of the smaller fractals behind it, while what? A break of a small fractal does not affect the big fractal behind it. Okay, if there's a break of a big fractal, it affects all of the smaller fractals behind it, while what? A break of a small fractal does not affect the big fractals behind it. This means that what? Any break of a small fractal affects only the small fractal. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a descriptive representation of what I just talked about. Okay, so for example, we talked about fractals. This is what, price started by establishing big fractals, established even bigger fractals. Then what? Price started by establishing what? Small fractals right here. Okay, so now when there is a break of structure right here, okay, of course, we know that what? Break of structure is what gives us our trade entry opportunity. We only enter a trade upon a break of structure. Okay, so we can see a break of structure right here, and higher low has clearly been broken. Okay, so now this gives us what? A trade entry opportunity. So now the maximum available for us to trade to is this point right here. Okay, this is where the small structure started. This is the maximum available for us to trade to, because what? The structure that was broken is of a small fractal, and we said that what? A break of a small fractal does not affect the big fractal. So all of this window right here has not been affected. It will only be affected when prices what comes and breaks the big fractal in itself. When price breaks the big fractal in itself, then it can give that trade entry opportunity to the lowest point right here. It can give the trade entry opportunity to the 100, the lowest point right here. Okay, so but if prices does not break it, but that is what? A break of this small fractal right here. Okay, the maximum is this point. This is our exit right here at the lowest point. That is the maximum available for us that we can trade to. Okay, so but on another case, what if prices starts on what? Small fractals, push exhaustion, then prices establish big fractal right here. Okay, maybe went on again, established an even bigger fractal right here, and prices broke a structure right here. Okay, so now the structure that has been broken is the big structure, right? But it affects all of the smaller fractals behind it. This means that what? Okay, we can be able to see a trade entry opportunity and sell to what? To the lowest point right here. It opens up this window of opportunity. Okay, because the fractal that was broken is the big fractal. But we know that what? If there's a break of a big fractal, all of the smaller fractals behind it are directly affected. Okay, so this gives us a trade entry opportunity, and we can be able to sell what? To the lowest point of the broken fractal. And also, like we said, fractals are measured in pips. That is what you can use your crosshair tool to measure fractal. Okay, let me write that out. That's what crosshair tools are used. Crosshair tool is used in measuring fractals. Okay, the crosshair tool is the tool that you use in measuring, your pips in the market. So that same tool is what is used in measuring fractals. The tool is clearly visible on the MTV4 or MT5 app. Okay, that's the tool you use in measuring your stop loss, measuring your take profits. Is the same tool I use in measuring fractals, because at the end of the day, like we said, fractals are measured in pips. So what do? You bring your fractal, drag it from the high to the low, or from the low to the high. You see how many pips it is. Okay, drag it from the high to the low, low to the high. You see how many pips, drag it, and drag it like this, so that you're able to know what fractal was broken. And this allowed me to be able to trade in my best form. Understanding this made me a better technical trader by far. Okay, because I'm able to trade in form, and I'm able to, in general, exit at the right exit, understand what is going on in the market, understand the structures the fractal that was broken, and trade within the confines of fractals. Okay, like all my students know, they know that what I trade within the confines of fractals. Okay, and for those in my signal channel, they also know that what we exit within the opportunity of fractals. Okay, whenever I drop a signal, we exit within the opportunity of fractal. Okay, so that is how it goes. Okay, so now let's go on to the charts to show a real life example of how we're able to apply fractals, in multi-time frame analysis to give us a high probability setup and high probability trade opportunity. Okay, in using the knowledge of fractals in getting a high probability setup using a multi-time frame top-down approach, the first thing we do as usual is to come onto the monthly time frame. Okay, and what do we do on the monthly time frame? We identify the real-time points where prices is at. That is the first thing. Then the next thing we try to do is understand the stories that took prices to that point. Okay, so what are the stories? The stories is the structures. Okay, and the next thing is what we are going to measure all the visible exhaustions we can see. First of all, let's just draw out all the push and exhaustions. Remember, this is push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion. Within the confines of this fractal, this is the last higher low. Okay, but now let's go ahead and measure these fractals. Okay, to see. Now this is a crosshair tool. From the highest point right here of the exhaustion to the lowest point of the exhaustion, this is 950 pips. So let's write that out, that this is what, 950 pips, because fractals are measured in pips like we know. From the highest point right here to the lowest point right here, this is 972 pips. 972 pips. Then for this one, the highest point of the push to the lowest point of the exhaustion, this is what? 1688. 1688. 1688. So we can see how prices made a progressive structure. That is what prices went from small fractal 950, progressed to what? 976, then progressed to what? 1688 pips. Okay, so now this is what? The last higher low within the confines of this fractal. This is because what? The next visible higher low on the monthly time frame, this one, is just about what? 1017 pips. Okay, 1017 pips, which is what? A smaller fractal. Okay, it's a smaller fractal. Remember that what? The fractal behind it is what? 1088 pips. Okay, so this means that what? The fractal at 1088 pips is a separate fractal. If there's a break of the structure at 1017 pips, it does not affect the structure at 1088 pips. Okay, it does not affect it. The structure at 1088 pips, it shields all of the other smaller fractals behind it. So any break of structure right here of what? Of 1017 pips, the trade entry opportunity ends here. It ends here at the 100.0, the beginning of what? Of the 1017 pips, it ends here. You cannot see a trade entry opportunity below. Okay, except if prices breaks below and breaks the 1088 pips fractal. Okay, so this means that what? This means that what we are going to do is what? The structure at 1688 will separate it. That is a separate fractal. So what are we going to do? We are going to take this window, okay, this window to the weekly time frame to look for a trade entry opportunity, within the confines of smaller fractals. Okay, so now let's go to the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, we saw prices start on small fractals right here of push, exhaustion. Then prices established a bigger fractal, push, exhaustion. Then went establish what? An even bigger fractal of push, exhaustion, and push. Okay, let's go ahead and measure the fractals. Okay, so from the highest point right here to the lowest point right here, this is what? 485. 485. That is the highest point of the push to the lowest point of the exhaustion. Highest point of the push right here, lowest point of the exhaustion. This is 794, 749, 749. Then the next one, the highest point of the push, lowest point of the exhaustion. This is what? 1025. 1025. Okay, so prices established what? Small fractal, then went to a bigger fractal. Then all of these things, eventually prices established what? An even bigger fractal here and push. Okay, so this is the last higher low right here within the confines of this fractal. This means that what? There is no higher low in front that shares equal or more length in terms of pips, okay, than this particular one right here. This 1200 this 1025 is the highest number of pips. Okay, this means that what? Any trade entry opportunity within this box, any trade entry opportunity, you cannot trade below the starting of 1025. Okay, you can only trade below when you see a break of it. When you see a break of it, then you know that what it opens this window of opportunity. Okay, of course. So fractals, with the understanding of multi-time frame analysis, we saw that the monthly gave us a clear bullish structure of higher highs and higher lows. The weekly is also giving us a clear bullish structure of higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so we're going to go to the daily and see what it's giving us. So what are we going to do on the daily? What we are going to do on the daily is that what we'll take the smaller fractal of this low right here and this high right here. We're going to take this window into the daily time frame to look for what opportunity within small fractals. We all know that what for us to see a trade entry opportunity within this fractal price has to break, you know, the structure at 1025. Okay, but now what we are going to do is that what we'll take this window to the daily time frame to look for a trade entry opportunity within smaller fractals. Okay, so now let's go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, we can see price start on small fractals of push. You know, price made the exhaustion right here. Then price made the push again, made the exhaustion right here. Prices made the push, made the exhaustion right here, then continued with push, exhaustion, push, then exhaustion and push. Okay, so this is the last higher low right here within the confines of this fractal. Okay, this is not an higher low because prices has not made an higher high yet. Okay, higher lows are only confirmed when prices makes an higher high. So this is the last higher low right here. This is not an higher low until prices makes an higher high. So this is the last higher low. This is the last higher low right here. Okay, so what we are going to do is that what? Let's, you know, do the measurements. Okay, so from the high right here, okay, from the highest point of the exhaustion of the push, lowest point of the exhaustion is what? 158. Let's write that out. 158. From the highest point of the exhaustion here to the lowest point of the exhaustion here, that is 174. Let's write that out. 174. Then for the next one, for the highest point right here, highest point of the push, lowest point of the exhaustion, this is what? 375. 375. 375. Then the next one, from the highest point right here to the lowest point right here, this is 330. Let's write that out as 330. Then for the next one, the highest point right here to the lowest point right here, this is about 356. Okay, 356. 356. Okay, so this means that what? Prices started on fractals like this, small fractals, push exhaustion. Established a bigger fractal, push exhaustion. Established an even bigger fractal right here, push exhaustion. Now at 375, this is a separate fractal because there is no fractal ahead of it that shares equal or more length in terms of pips. Okay, all the fractals ahead of it started and are only moving on smaller fractals of 330. Okay, then price established 356. These are smaller fractals. This means that what? By any chance, if prices even breaks the structure at 356, it affects only the smaller fractals behind it. A break of 356 only affects the structure at 330. Okay, and this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the structure right here. This is the beginning of the structure. It does not go beyond to 375. Okay, so any take profit ends here at 330 at this point right here, the beginning of 330. That's where it ends. Okay, except prices now goes and breaks 375 in itself. Now when price breaks 375, it affects all of the structure at 174 and the structure at 158. And this means that what you will exit your trade at this point right here. It can provide an opportunity to that point. Okay, so but right now, what are we going to do? We can see the structures. Okay, we can see that what this is: push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push. You know, price made the push right here, exhaustion, separate fractal. Then prices, you know, started on smaller fractals of push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion. And we all know that what this is the last higher low right here after prices made the push. Okay, so what am I going to do right now as of this point? Okay, I'm going to take this low and this high right here to the 4 hours time frame to look for a trade entry opportunity within this box. We all know that eventually when prices breaks here to give us that trade entry opportunity within that box. But right now, what are we going to do? We are going to take the lowest point right here and the highest point right here to the 4 hours time frame to look for a trade entry opportunity within this box, which is a box of smaller fractals. Okay, so that is exactly what we are going to do right now. Okay, of course, using our multi-time frame buyers, the monthly time frame, the weekly time frame, and the daily time frame has shown us clearly that prices is bullish. This means If I go to the 1 hour or the 30-minute time frame to pick my trade entry opportunity, if I'm buying in the direction of trend. If I'm selling a retracement. Okay, so now let's go to the 4 hours time frame to read the structures there. Okay, so on the 4 hours time frame, what are we saying? We can see prices make what? Push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion right here within the confines of this fractal, and this is the last higher low right here. Okay, this is not an higher low here because prices did not make an higher high. Okay, so when prices did that, let's go ahead and quickly measure the fractals. Okay, from the highest point of the push, lowest point of the exhaustion, 52 pips, 52 pips, highest point of the push again, lowest point of the exhaustion, 58 pips, 58 pips. Then the next one, highest point of the push, lowest point of the exhaustion, this is 139, 139, and this was the last higher low right here, 139. Okay, so prices went, establish what? Small fractal to what? Big fractal to an even bigger fractal, and this is the last higher low right here. Okay, so this means that what? We know, okay, that the monthly, weekly, and daily is bullish. Okay, this means that what? If we are selling, even if it's on the 4 hours time frame, the maximum we can sell to is the 61.8. Okay, that is the maximum we can sell to is the 61.8 right here. Okay, so that means even with this break of structure, this is the maximum we can sell to right here, 61.8. And we all know that what? When the structure was broken right here, this was the last higher low that was broken. When it was broken, prices already hit 61.8 without giving us a trade entry opportunity, because at the end of the day, all of these were push, and what? This was where the break of structure happened. But we all know that if we are selling in a retracing market, the maximum we can sell to is the 61.8 because it is just a retracement. Okay, in a retracing market, 61.8 acts as a key reversal area. Okay, so now there's no trade entry opportunity. Okay, so what was the next thing that we did? The next thing that we did is what? Identify what? 61.8 as a potential key reversal area. Identify all of these resistance levels right here as another key reversal area. Then identify this support here as another key reversal area. We also know that what? Horizontal support and resistance levels act as a key reversal area. Okay, so now prices broke below 61.8 significantly, but prices came to this resistance level right here, closed a little bit below it, but respected it, came back to respect it. So this horizontal resistance level here of this resistance is the key reversal area that rejected prices. Like I said, they are zones, so even though prices closed below, price came back and respected it. Okay, so now this means that what am I going to do next? What I'm going to do next is to take what? The highest point right here, and the lowest point right here, take them to the 1 hour time frame and look for a break of the bearish structure. When I see a break of the bearish structure, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy to what? To 100.0 of the broken fractal. Okay, so we'll take that to the 1 hour time frame. Clearly we can see that what? That reversal area has triggered a break of structure. Okay, so we can see price make push, exhaustion, and price made again push, exhaustion, push. Now let's measure the fractals. Okay, from the highest point here to the lowest point here, this is what? 379 pips, 379. Okay, then for this, from the highest point right here to the lowest point right here, highest point of the push, lowest point of the exhaustion, this is what? 393. Okay, so this is 393, 393. Okay, so remember that what? This is what? Push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion. Okay, and what? Within the confines of this fractal, this is the last lower high here. This means that what? There is no lower high below it that shares equal or more length in terms of pips. Okay, so this means that what? For me to see a trade entry opportunity within this box, what does prices has to do? Prices has to what? Has to break the last lower high right here, and a break of the structure at 393 affects the structure at 379. This means our take profit is here. Okay, within the confines of that fractal. Of course, I made some profits this week trading within the confines of smaller fractals. That is what we saw prices make push, exhaustion. Okay, and I saw a break of the last lower high right here. Okay, when the break of the last lower high right here happened, we exited at what? The 100.0 of the broken fractal, making as much as 1:2.5 on this trade. Okay, so this means, let's read the structures, the smaller fractals together. From the highest point right here to the lowest point, this is what? 100 pips. Okay, so a break of the structure at 100 pips right here. This is push, exhaustion. This was the last lower high. Then this one was even a smaller fractal because it was less than 100 pips. Let's bring the Fibonacci, the crosshair tool out from the highest point here, lowest point here. This was 89 pips. So we decided to pick the trade using what this clearer, opportunity right here, because when the break of structure happened, it gave us an opportunity to the highest point right here. Okay, we entered the trade by what? By buying at the break of structure, putting the stop loss at the low for about 816 pips, then exiting here for about 300 pips. So we made over 1:2.5 on this particular trade this week. Okay, so as soon as prices did that, what did prices do? Prices broke into another fractal, right here. Okay, giving us what? A trade entry opportunity here to buy here, to put our stop loss at this low and ride to this point right here for a 1:1.3 risk reward. Okay, but now it gets better, because we know that what? We have another variation of entry. That is what? When prices breaks a structure, instead of entering pinpoints, sometimes you don't get a good risk reward. Like on this trade, it's just a mere 1:1.34 risk reward. Okay, so if we want to have a better risk reward on this trade, what are we going to do? We are going to allow prices to come for a natural 61-point retracement. Okay, it's a known fact that whenever there's a break of structure, prices comes back, makes that retracement for a natural 61-point retracement. In this case, prices will come and grab more bulls, before taking off. Okay, so what are we going to do in this case? We are going to what? We are already in this trade using entry variation 1, but what we are going to do next is to allow price to come back to give us what? An entry variation 2 by coming to 61.8. That is, we'll bring out our Fibonacci from the lowest point right here, to the highest point of the rejection. Anywhere it rejects and comes to 61.8. And what are we going to do next? We are going to buy pinpoint at 61.8. We're going to buy pinpoint at 61.8, and we are going to, take, okay, let me adjust this a bit. We are going to buy pinpoint at 61.8, and we are going to, take our profits at this same place while our exit is here using entry variation 2. So with this type of, opportunity, we can see as much as 1:4, 1:5 risk reward on this same trade. It just depends. Also, we have another entry variation. So this tells you that it gets better. That is, so now what is this entry variation? The entry variation says that the structure that brought prices down to 61.8. The tinier fractals that brought prices down to 61.8. What can you do? You can wait for a break of that structure, and you can buy and put your stop loss at the low and buy to the topmost part right here. These are our 3 variations of entry. Okay, but on this trade, I'll prefer to just wait and just allow prices to come and give us entry variation 2 by coming to 61.8. Then I'll buy pinpoint at 61.8, put my stop loss at the low right here, and come here. So on this trade, I'll be on entry variation 1 and entry variation 2 on confirmation. Okay, so this is what we are waiting for on this particular trade. It's very important to note, like I said, that whenever there's a break of structure, prices usually comes for a natural 61-point retracement. Okay, it doesn't do that 100% of the time, but it does that about 80 to 90% of the time. But it's perfectly okay, because it gives us an opportunity to, enter a trade using our second entry variation. Okay, so this is how we are able to apply the knowledge of fractals, the proper knowledge of fractals, into a multi-time frame analysis, and it gives us very great setups, allows us to know where to exit. We are able to exit properly and trade within the opportunity of fractals. Okay, just like I showed you here, a break of this structure right here, the take profit ended here within the opportunity of that fractal. It was push, exhaustion, push, break of structure right here. What did we do? We exited within the 100.0 of that fractal. Okay, until prices now broke into another fractal, which now provided us another opportunity. We had taken profit on that opportunity. Now prices now provided us another opportunity. Okay, so every single trade we pick, we trade within the confines of fractals. Okay, so if you want to learn more about every single thing I do, I have a mentorship program that is ongoing. Link in the description below. You can register through the mentorship. I'm going to take you by the hand through the understanding and mastery of price action trading, and you see a direct reflection in your results. So see you all in my mentorship platform.